Thank you.
Buenos dias. We are honored, Governor Garcia, to have you with us here at South by Southwest. And before I give a proper introduction, I want to thank the co-founder and head honcho of South by Southwest, Hugh Forrest, for inviting the governor and for making today's session possible. Yeah, he deserves a round of applause. And this panel is titled The Nuevo León Effect, Mexico's Rise as the Main U.S. Trade Partner. And a big part of that rise is the work of Governor Garcia. I would call him Mexico's jobs governor for the points that he's put on the board for Nuevo León and for Mexico. My name is Glenn Hammer. I'm the president and CEO of the Texas Association of Business. We're the state chamber for the state of Texas. One of our initiatives is a Texas-Mexico initiative to promote trade. And I want to also say that we're also working very hard to further develop our relationship with our friend to the north, Canada. Governor Garcia is obviously the governor of Nuevo León. Nuevo León is a lot like Texas in that it is a thriving state within North America. And it's also the headquarters of many of the most important companies in Mexico, including Cemex. And our governor, Governor Abbott, likes to call Texas the headquarters of headquarters. We have 55 Fortune 500 companies here, more than any other state. And the relationship between Nuevo León and Texas is very important. We're all aware of what's going on with nearshoring. As Team North America competes with China, it's very important to have a strong Mexico and Canada. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But before we start, I do want to read, even though Governor Garcia, many of you know him, he has 2 million Instagram followers. His wife has over 3 million Instagram followers. I'm about 5 million behind at this point. But even though many of you know his background, I'm going to quickly read it. Samuel Garcia was born in Monterrey. He studied law and finance, then has a master's degree in public law at one of the great schools, the Instituto Tecnológico y Estudios Superiores de Monterrey. I apologize, I have a 4-year Duolingo streak, but my pronunciation isn't very good. He has several doctorates. He's the founder of 3 law firms, and I believe he's also the author of several books. He was a local deputy in Nuevo León for a number of years, a senator for Nuevo León, and since October 4th, 2021, he's the governor of Nuevo León, being one of the youngest governors in the country. He's also a leader within Mexico's National Governors Association, and he has played and continues to play a key role in the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, known as TEMEC, for our friends in Mexico. And so, Governor, I'm going to just jump right in. Economic development. You are known as the guy that has brought prosperity to your great state. Could you please talk a little bit about your philosophy in economic development? And welcome to Austin.
Thank you. Well, good morning. It's amazing beer in South by Southwest. And thanks for this warm invitation. I want to start by saying that we will have very soon a direct flight, Austin to Monterrey, with Viva Aerobus. Juan Carlos is going to be giving free tickets for everyone for this summer. Well, the thing is that in Mexico, obviously, our laws, our constitution, gives an exclusive competence for the federal government to promote Mexico. And that's why for many years, the Nuevo León governors didn't promote our state as we should. When I was a senator, we changed the constitution, and now we can promote our state, and each state in Mexico's republic can go worldwide and make these promotions. We have been flying all around the world. Our first trip was here to Austin to have a meeting with Mr. Abbott, and we have been on Korea, on China, Europe, New York, Los Angeles, and it's amazing that promoting our state, many people didn't know the advantages they can have making business in Nuevo León. Today, Nuevo León, for you to have a parameter, we are having 76% of the country's nearshoring. One state alone, Nuevo León is 4% of the territory of Mexico. One state alone is having and receiving 76% of nearshoring, and today we are making an announcement of a new project, $6 billion project, and in just 2 years of government, we have been in a record $60 billion foreign investment in Nuevo León. That's why I think many people are asking, what are you doing in Nuevo León? Why is Tesla constructing the new gigafactory in Nuevo León? Well, we will have an hour to talk about it.
Governor, could you also talk about, we'll get back to Tesla and nearshoring and how we build things juntos together, but the importance of education. You have one of the world's great schools and schools, but Tec de Monterrey has a great international brand. It looks like they're looking to do more with Texas schools. Could you talk about the importance of education and degrees in attracting all of this amazing capital investment?
Well, let me tell you that Nuevo León has been around 1 century the industrial city of Mexico. Most of the industry of Mexico has its corporate in Nuevo León. We had a great leader called Eugenio Garzazada. He was the founder of many companies, but also he created the Tec de Monterrey, that it's like the MIT for the US. And since then, many private and public universities have been developing in Nuevo León. We have the best universities of America Latina in our city, and that's why we are graduating thousands of engineers, very well educated, English talking, that it's very important, systems, applications, computer, software, very skilled people. And that's why for us, it's very easy to bring companies to Nuevo León, because at least the workforce you will have is the best in Mexico. And Tec de Monterrey, it's also very well known for being actualizing the studies, the plans, and now with this electromobility hub being constructed in Nuevo León, we're towards with the universities to have new careers and new programs.
Let's talk, and I've been to the Tec de Monterrey campus, and if I had any math aptitude, that's where I want to go to school next, Governor. Could you talk a little bit, I was at a trade show on electromobility. Can you talk a little bit about your vision there? Because Monterrey is really blazing a trail there like very few places on the planet.
Yes. Well, I just told you that 2 years ago we come to Austin. We have a visit to the Gigafactory in Austin, Tesla's Gigafactory. And it was a very good surprise that most of the suppliers, they were from Monterrey. The glass from Vitro, the steel from Ternium, the aluminum from Nemac. Most of the suppliers of this Gigafactory were from Monterrey. That's why also it was very easy for Elon to go to Monterrey, because most of the suppliers are installed in Nuevo León. Now also the computers, quanta computers that make the brain of the cars, they are installed in Nuevo León. And we're trying to get advocacy to be a electromobility hub. We have a natural automobile corridor from Saltillo, that it's our neighbor. We are almost the same metropolitan area. From Saltillo all the way up to our border. That is also very important for you to know. Nuevo León has a border, 9-mile border. It's new, it's safe, and is the quickest in Mexico. We are crossing cargo in 5 minutes. Our neighbors are making 5-7 hours. In Nuevo León, you cross the border in 5 minutes, and is nowadays the second biggest and revenue border. So all that corridor with these new 6 highways we have constructed is making Nuevo León a very important automobile and electromobility sector for the world.
Would like you to also talk about, because I want the audience here and that are watching it being live streamed to understand how modern Monterrey, San Pedro, and safe they are. My visits there, the only danger I could see in Costco, sometimes the shoppers were a little aggressive, but it is safe, it's gleaming, there's great hotels, great restaurants, great cultural amenities, and I just want the audience to understand how safe your state has become.
Well, let me start by saying that maybe there's a lot of noise on the web, on the news, because unfortunately, some regions of Mexico have been having some violence. But the truth is that Mexico is very big. We are 130 million people, 32 states, and at least US information, because the embassy has a green light for Nuevo León. We are in green, that means we are safe. US recommends traveling and making business in Nuevo León. We are a very safe state and very dynamic. We have a very vibrant economy. Here is the economy secretary. He's always very proud because we have the records being broken every year. In these 2 months, we have now half the employment last year Nuevo León had. So the records of employment, of exports, of revenue, we're always growing, and I think that that's because we are safe, we have the infrastructure, we have the people, and we have obviously a government always looking forward economy.
And you have in Secretary Rivas and Emmanuel Liu, I think Emmanuel's always, he's everywhere. I think there's 3 of them. You have really a great team. And I want to dig in, you mentioned there's going to be news made today about the nonstop Viva Aerobus flight, and I can't wait to get on that flight and return to your beautiful state. Could you talk a little bit about the Port of Colombia? I know that that's been a big project, and you talked a little bit about it, but just for the audience to get a sense of the scale and the importance as nearshoring increases, it's very important that we have the routes coming in Mexico into Texas. And just for the audience to understand, 81% of the goods that are traded between Mexico and the United States by rail or train go through Texas. So increasing those arteries of trade is incredibly important.
Yes. Well, Puerto Colombia, it's neighbor with Laredo, Texas. It's a virgin land. Fortunately, it's a virgin land. So we're making now the plans for being a cargo logistic hub. Imagine all these other cities in Mexico, Laredo, Matamoros, Ciudad Juárez. They have many people living in the city. And that's why there's a lot of noise of smuggling, of migration issues, etc. For us in Colombia, we have no felonies, 0 felonies. It's very safe. And we have a master plan for 2030 to have new railroads, to have, we're doubling the border. Imagine for the US that we have been for many years fighting for new bridges, we have not constructed anyone. In Nuevo León, the one we have, we just doubled it from 8 to 16 lanes. We're making also an airport and a lot of infrastructure for the exports and imports. Why is Colombia getting a lot of potential? First of all, the USMCA, being 16 years more with this commercial trade, many US and many companies in the world are investing in Nuevo León to ensemble and to export to the US, that is the biggest market in the world. And second, we just construct 6 highways, because imagine, Nuevo León had a border, but we didn't have a highway to the border. That's why no one used this board. But now with these new highways, we are expecting that we will triple the freights from 3,000 per day for more than 12,000. So there's a lot of potential. People living in Laredo are betting in Colombia, and I think that for the FIFA World Cup that we will have in 2 years, for Mexicans that we love soccer, Monterrey will be home stay. We will have direct flights with Viva Aerobus, and also we can use the car. We are 4 hours away, but we will obviously invite you to use Colombia and the Nuevo León highways. They are free, they are concrete, they are safe, and you will love them when you visit us.
And Governor, I hope you have a chance at some point to catch an Austin FC game. They're just a great experience. So I share your love for
Football.
For football. Wanted to just get back to a point that you made because we're really painting the picture of how Team North America works and how important economic engine states are. But you mentioned Quilla and what's going on in terms of Saltillo and the Monterrey-Saltillo, and I've been on that road. It's less than an hour. It's a very beautiful, easy drive. And then you have the situation where Austin is a sister city of Saltillo. I believe San Antonio is a sister city of Monterrey. How could we better work with business groups? And the Texas Association of Business, we have 7 MOUs with leading groups, including groups in Nuevo León. How can the business community better get behind your vision to really build out the entire region between, say, the 2 states in Mexico and Texas?
Yes. Well, I think that the cluster, it's already well done. When I entered office, they always recommended me to expand the Golden Triangle, they call it, that it's Monterrey connected with Dallas and Houston, obviously Austin and San Antonio in the middle. Many of the Nuevo León companies have a factory in Texas. Many Texans are making business in Nuevo León. And for the government, it's very important to have even more agreements than the NAFTA. NAFTA for us is the base, but we can construct much more topics with Texas especially. And I think that besides the automobile sector, we can also work in energy because we share the same Cuenca de Burgos gas shale. We can work in renewable energies. We can work in, for example, we're making a project today announcement, a new technology for cargo, move cargo with electricity all the way up from Monterrey to Laredo, Texas. Very safe, very easy, very sustainable. And I think that there are many projects that we can together work. It's not impossible for Texas and Nuevo León to be the next most important economic region in the world. What Texas has been doing, bringing the Silicon Valley all the way up to Austin, we're trying also to do it in Mexico. And Nuevo León is now converting in a technological hub. So if we are very close, we are neighbors, 4 hours driving, I think that we can make a lot more projects, and that's why we're here visiting Austin, visiting the mayor, visiting the governor, because there are a lot of projects that we can make in the future.
4-hour drive, 1-hour flight, and and I want to thank David Zapata and Julia Muzquez from our team that help us develop the relationship with Mexico and Canada. And just to give a few other stats, the trade between Texas and Mexico is $285 billion. Mexico is far and away the top trading partner of Texas. And I'm glad to report that right now Mexico is the top trading partner of the United States. Canada is number 2, and China is number 3. And we do not want, I'm speaking for us, we do not want China to ever be number 1. We want to keep Mexico and Canada, our North American trading partners, at the top of the list. Could you talk a little bit more about the tech and venture capital scene? I've been to a few events in Monterey along those lines, and it seems to me that the VC and the tech scene are really bursting.
Well, I think it's obviously the future. When Nuevo León is trying to convert in the electromobility hub, it also includes technologies. Being the electromobility hub, for example, you need a lot of chips, you need renewable energy, you need batteries, you need aerospace. If now the future is the driverless cars, you need a lot of apps, technology, satellites. And that's why Nuevo León has been receiving a lot of investment also worldwide. For example, from India, we receive the 4 big technological companies of India. They are now settled in Nuevo León. Tata, TCS, etc. From Korea, we have some companies like Samsung, Hyundai, Kia, that not only came to Nuevo León, they make the biggest factory of the company in Nuevo León. Ternium, Lego, Mondelez, a lot of companies, they're making the biggest factories in Nuevo León, and with that, they also bring the corporates. Yes. So now Nuevo León, I think that it's, for many reasons, the big champion in nearshoring. And thank God, it seems this will last at least 8 to 15 years more. I cannot enter US politics, but they told me that at least if one thing unites Republicans and Democrats is fighting against China with these tariff and commercial laws. For Mexico, that's gold. It's our opportunity to get more integrated, to be more powerful in exports, and being the best partner with the US.
Governor, you are correct that it does unite both parties. I want to dig in a little bit more because you mentioned Samsung, and Samsung has a huge presence in Texas, building a major new. They've been in Austin for many years, but a gleaming new factory is coming up in Taylor, Texas. So maybe we talk a little bit about those supply chains in these key areas. You talked about autos. Maybe a little bit more in aerospace and semiconductors. And I know that's something that it seems unites leaders in Mexico, in the United States, and in Canada, that we should build these important goods, whether it's vehicles or semiconductors, in a tariff-free way so that we're competitive with the rest of the world.
Yes, it's very simple. Before the COVID crisis, the products being assembled in China, they last 16 weeks to get into Houston or Los Angeles port. Products being assembled in Monterey, you get them in less than 20 hours in US. So imagine the savings in wages, in diesel, in time. Obviously, for logistics, it's very logical to make business with Mexico. Between Mexico, we're also having a very important competence between states. And it's very important that each state makes like its advocacy and explores new technologies and new companies. For us, having Texas as a neighbor, we know you're doing very well in the semiconductors. This investment of Samsung of, I think it's $17 billion is amazing. How can Nuevo León benefit from it? Well, we have a lot of workforce that wants to work in semiconductors technologies. We have a lot of the suppliers also for that kind of companies. And maybe for Texas, it's very comfortable also that most of the suppliers for electromobility, they are in Nuevo León. And that's why, for example, Tesla having the Gigafactory in Austin and in Monterrey will obviously generate a natural automobile corridor. I think that's the future, and we have to work in it.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit because I really, the only way my daughters know I do anything is through Instagram. You have found a very unique and important way to communicate with citizens in your state and in Mexico and all over the world. How do you do it on social media? I mean, it's a modern way. You know, if I want to feel like I'm 100 years old, I read a paper in front of my daughters. How do you do it?
Well, it's a new way of making politics, especially 9 years ago that I entered for a congressman election. There was this Facebook booming. So I opened my fan page and started making a lot of politics in this network. Suddenly, in less than a month, the fans grow from 0 to 300,000 fans. And that's why for many times they call me the Facebook congressman in Nuevo León. Nuevo León has the most connected state. Most of the people in Nuevo León have internet, so it was very easy to have this direct communication with our citizens. And then as a senator, I use a lot the Instagram. My wife also has a lot of followers. We had some trouble in the courts because many of my opposition, they demand me that I was unjustly favored my wife and that was forbidden. Thank God I won the case. And now as a governor, obviously we use Instagram, we use Facebook, we use TikTok. There are a lot of matters that you can communicate and use these powerful weapons. For example, when we talk about promotion, culture, and a lot of projects coming on, a very good way to promote it are with this kind of data and Facebook analysts, etc. But also there are a lot of topics that are not for Facebook or Instagram. It's the formal communication of a politician. So I think that we should be hybrid, use them, use social media, use traditional TV, radio, etc. But at least for the youth, what we're seeing in Nuevo León is that millennials and centennials, they will never open a newspaper. No more. Everything is in the app, everything is in the cell phone. And for example, for us it's very important, very, very short. Nuevo León very soon will have everything paid in government by the iPhone. The bus tariffs, the bus stations, the subways, the permissions, opening a company, everything's gonna be in the cell phone, in the iPhone, in the internet. And I think Nuevo León being the first in everything in Mexico help us a lot to innovate, to make a lot of explorations in new ways of making programs, plans, obviously public policies, and internet for us is very important also to communicate.
Well, in terms of the public's confidence of government, when you're going to where the public is and certainly where it's moving rapidly with the younger generations, to me, that's a great way to also just increase confidence in government. We'd like you to speak. We've been touching on this a little bit. You know, sometimes there are obviously big federal issues. You know, we haven't even. I'm not going to get into migration and that area, but I do want to get in a little bit of the importance on the subnational level, on states doing more, because, you know, when you think about Washington D.C., it's a mess, obviously. But then you have states like Texas that operate very well. We have huge surpluses and work in a bipartisan fashion for the betterment of the people. Can you talk a little bit about some of the states in Mexico? I know Nuevo León, numero uno, but just how we should be thinking about that in terms of that even if things maybe on the federal level between the countries aren't moving in the direction we would all like, that there's plenty of positive activity we can take state to state.
Well, for you here in the U.S., it's very easy to understand the federalism. You are the owners and the founding fathers of federalism. Mexico is also a federation, but for many years, everything has been monopolized and centralized in Mexico City. Nuevo León, obviously being much more developed than other states, if you wait for the president or Mexico City to push you, you will not have progress at all. So Nuevo León we have always been very foreseeing better opportunities, better projects, and in this case, very, very important. For us in Nuevo León, we're having a very good relation with the federation, with the federal government, and for example, we show them the big potence we have in electromobility. We show the president what's happening with BYD, with Tesla, with Marco Polo, and that we should together make a tax-free zone. It seems impossible, and we just got it. So if you are an investor, you should know that now in Nuevo León, if you invest in 10 topics, electromobility, chips, technology, etc., later we can show you, you will pay no taxes at all. You will have income tax exemption, value-added tax exemption, sales tax exemption, refund on property and sales tax in less than 24 hours, and also the state and the local taxes, everything exempted. Because we really want to go up and being the champions of the world in electromobility, we need the world to know they will not pay any tax. Because thank God, Nuevo León doesn't need taxes nowadays. We have been betting a lot in infrastructure, in these projects, that we can now give us the privilege to becoming in a free tax zone. For example, Port of Colombia, very, very short. We're having some, we call polos industriales, that if you invest, you don't even need a permission because we trust on the investment. We make the permission, the paper, the legal stuff, parallel to the construction, and we're having successful cases like Quanta Computers. Quanta were in a rush because they needed to produce the computers for Tesla. In 6 months, it looks incredible. in less than 6 months, Quanta were already installed and producing the computers for Tesla. Without permission, without taxing, and obviously for us with the federal government, everyone wins because now Nuevo León has full employment, very well employments, and that's what the government wants for our people to have these projects in-house.
Well, Governor, you're speaking the language called Texas. When you have a thriving economy, you have more tax revenue. You could keep rates low. And, I want to say Governor Abbott, and who we consider America's United States jobs governor, and his team, Adriana Cruz, and her economic development team are best in class in the country. I also just wanted to mention, because I think this is important, is that the state of Texas does have a trade office in Mexico. It's located in Governor Garcia's state in Nuevo León, and James Taylor and his team do a great job. So that just gives a sense of the importance that Texas places on your great state, Governor. Wanted to, and if we have, please, if you have questions, I'm going to pass around the mic. This is going to be my final one, unless there's radio silence. I want to get back to the workforce in a moment. For my final question, we've got the NAFTA visas, which are in 60 or so categories, including engineering. What are some ways we could practically increase worker liquidity between our two states, given the similarity now of the economies, particularly in these advanced manufacturing areas?
Yes. Well, for example, in this trip, we're getting a meeting with the UT. The UT used to have a campus in Nuevo León. We will reactivate it. We need a lot of agreements between our universities. As you just told, we're very similar. We have the same projects. And in Nuevo León, especially in the workforce area, the people are very hardworking. Our culture and tradition in Nuevo León, since my grandfather and my dad is to work, well, indeed, my grandfather was born in Texas. My grandfather, Samuel, in Rosita, Texas. That's why we're very well connected. And I'm cowboy also. We should make bigger regional treaties. We don't have to wait for the US and Mexico to make these big, slow national agreements. Now the law in Mexico permits a state to celebrate commercial and regional agreements. So maybe it's important for Texas to construct a treaty with Tamaulipas, Nuevo León, and Coahuila. In that region, we can explore renewable energy, we can explore safety, we can explore logistics. Because if you keep everything in Washington or in Mexico City, they have much more problems. And obviously, many other problems that are not economic and making business. They have to see borders, they have to see what's happening in China, what's happening in Israel. And for the states, we don't have that troubles. So we can be more connected with these treaties. And I think the universities can be the holders, the key holders of them.
What's going on right here in Austin with UT Texas is unbelievable. Texas A&M is incredible, what they're doing, engineering, space, quantum, all these areas. Sir, fire away.
Thank you, Governor Garcia, and thank you, Glenn. I think that this is a dream come true. Thank you for all the energy that you're putting into connecting this region. We need to convert this Texas triangle into a green flag, and that flag will get the pole all the way through Highway 35, through the Laredos, Monterrey, and Saltillo. And this region by itself is going to be a model of what has to be done in the future as we become not only the economic powerhouse, but also the manufacturing, most sophisticated manufacturing region in the world. This is going to influence the future of the U.S. and the future of Mexico, and people will follow. So my question here to you guys is, Monterrey, the state of Nuevo León, has the highest GDP per capita of Mexico. It's around $19,000, $20,000. The Texas one is $70,000. There's still a gap. What type of policies do we need to enact to basically get this gap closer, reduce the gap? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Governor,
Hans?
please.
Well, I think that the most and fastest way is bringing these companies to Nuevo León because they have for compliance pay the same worldwide. Tesla, Quanta, Kia, they mandatory have to pay the same wages. So for Mexicans and for Nuevo León people, having these companies coming, hiring our youth, and paying 4 times what we were used to is the only way we can lower the gap you just told us with Texas. And also, I think that this corridor with I-35, it's gonna be much more strength with the 6 new highways Mexico and Nuevo León are making. Because these highways are only thinking in how we get more connected to Texas. We already finished 3 of them. We will finish in 2 years the rest. And with those highways, with the infrastructure we are making, and with these agreements with Texas, I hope very soon we reach the gap and have the same economic and labor conditions.
Governor answered it very well. Sir?
Thank you. Governor Glenn, it's great to have you here. Recently, a U.S. congressman said that what worries him the most, it's not that demand of nearshoring in Mexico, but if Mexico has the capacity to actually grasp all the opportunity of an investment that companies are trying and requiring, not on overall in Mexico, in infrastructure, in labor, in services. And some say this is a window of opportunity of maybe, I don't know, 3 to 5 to 7 years. What are your remarks on this? How are we trying to grasp all this demand so they can actually install and they have success on Nuevo León?
Sure. Well, as it means nearshoring, it's being close, very close. So I think the opportunity is for the north states of Mexico. The nearshoring process are being very, very well connected and very close to the border. For us in Monterrey, it's very easy. We are 2 hours from the border, less than 150 miles. So I think that Mexico should invest a lot in highways, airports, and borders, the infrastructure and logistics. Nuevo León is being the champion because we have been for 20 years investing a lot in that kind of projects. So I think that for other states, neighbor states, they should start now making these big investments to really have these big expansions, and for companies, because obviously Nuevo León will not get everything. We are limited in territory and space. We need, as Mexicans, that other cities and other states take advantage of the nearshoring process, and obviously the clue is that they can't wait for the federal government. They have to work as adults and make them alone, because if you wait, you will never get the budget and neither the projects.
It's clear Governor Garcia is not going to wait for anyone. On on electricity, water, broadband, all those infrastructure things, just a moment on those. We always get asked, because we're adding, because of all the new jobs and industrial use and 1,000 new people a day moving into Texas, that infrastructure. But you touched on some of the others.
Sure. Electricity. Mexico is divided in regions for electricity matters. Thank God Monterrey is the center of distribution of 5 states. So imagine all the electricity and power made in 5 states, it goes all the way to Monterrey, it's converted, and then from Monterrey is distributed again to these 5 states. So electricity for us, we have a surplus, 35% extra energy for the companies that are coming. Tesla, very intelligent, they buy the land just in the passage of the electricity lane. So for them, it's very easy and cheap. They are only going to need a substation to get all the energy they needed. Water is now an issue. Mexico is having, like many places in the world, a climate crisis challenge. For us, 2 years ago, we had that crisis. We just entered the office and had a water issue. And we spent a lot of budget, around 15,000 million pesos, in a water master plan that now is having the results. We now have double the water that we had 2 years ago. We had to make, obviously, new dams, new aqueducts. All the sewage was renewed for having less leaks. And we also have now a very ambitious project. We are recycling the industrial water, around 10,000 liters per second that were wasted from the industry into the rivers. Now we have these new projects like Barcelona, like Los Angeles, like you have, they told me here in Austin. And by recycling water, we will get at least until 2040 the water we need for the civil society and the industry. So I can assure you that all the companies getting into Nuevo León, they will have the electricity, the water, and these services very fast and secure.
Very similar to Texas investing in these very important areas. Great response. David.
Great. Good morning, Governor.
Good morning.
And also Glenn. So I share the governor's vision that a better collaboration between Texas and Nuevo León definitely be beneficial for both countries. Direct flight between Monterrey and Austin, I believe, is the starting point. I hear rumors about railway passenger trains between Monterrey and maybe San Antonio, and also some rumors about the high-speed train solutions. Do you have any, maybe you can share some insights or planning about how massive transportation between Austin, San Antonio to Monterrey can happen next, I don't know, next 5 years, next 10 years? Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Well, that's a very popular train in Monterrey because we usually come and shop to Texas. And for many of us, it's a dream. My mom will love that train for going to shop to McAllen or to Laredo or to Austin.
We appreciate the sales tax revenue.
So the project, it's already planned, but we are missing the U.S. federal permission. Because we already have some projects done, but for cargo. In Nuevo León, some warehouses, we call it tubo fiscal, a tax pipeline. So everything is being revised in Monterrey. It goes by train all the way up to San Antonio, Oklahoma, and CBP and Customs and Service are comfortable. The next step is for people. So we're planning also a passenger train from Monterrey to San Antonio. There was an original plan that that train could go through Laredo, Tamaulipas. And now in Nuevo León, with this new border, we're trying to have it through Colombia So this train does not go out of Nuevo León and go all the way up to San Antonio. The Texas Department of Transport, they know the project, and they are now making, for example, the highway to connect Port of Laredo and Colombia with I-35. I think it's the Interstate 255 highway. Now it's under construction. The project will be just around that highway. So we have it done. We need that permission. I hope the US administration approves it, and very soon, like in Europe, we can have these speed trains between Monterrey and Texas.
Great question. And we have a great Texas Department of Transportation Commissioner, Bruce Buck. Next question, please.
Hi, my name is Valeria. Thank you. I'm the founder of Finanzas que Valen, which is an educational platform, financial education platform for women. And I've lived like the past 8 years on and off in Monterrey, and I've seen like the huge economic development. But my question here is, what is the role of women? Like, why is it important to have an inclusive economic development gender-wise?
Very important. Now, it's amazing that many of these big companies in Nuevo León, they have been directed by women. For example, in my economic council, we have a very important woman. I don't know if I can give the name. It's confidence or not? Well, one of the most important companies in Nuevo León is directed by a woman. She is helping us to make a very huge project to give the small businesses financing if they are woman-proof projects. So for Nuevo León, it's very important that we have these projects done very soon, and especially Blanca Treviño, Softex director. That's an app, Softec. She has been helping us for financing new apps, new technologies, and well, here is Mari Carmen. She is the tourist secretary. Now Nuevo León has, we call it paritarian cabinet. We have more women than men, and that's why we're doing a well job.
Well, you have a great tourism secretary. I saw we were on a panel in Arizona. Great question. I know you're the dad of a daughter. I have 3 daughters. Let's be quick. Speed round, sir.
Yeah, I agree that in Nuevo León, people are very good at producing value with their hands. Ergo, the manufacturing companies coming into Nuevo León, and we are very hard workers. But right here in South by Southwest, what do you say to all the tech startups, all the innovation companies that are trying to go to Nuevo León and producing value more with maybe the brain through technology, through innovation? What is your message to all of the tech startups right here?
Well, I will give an example. A very good friend called Poncho, he made the Newports app. It's now a unicorn. I think he studied in Stanford. He got the idea, he got the investment, and now he has the biggest unicorn in Nuevo León. It's a guy, 25-year-old, 1 billion investment, and he's very interested in Colombia port because of logistics. So truly, guys, Nuevo León is a gold land. You have everything to make a lot of money and the government to facilitate your projects.
You get a very strong vibe. The government is working with these businesses. That's what you want.
Yeah,
Sir,
can
next
we
question.
talk maybe about some tax incentives for startups?
Yes, well, if you are in technology, all the tax exemptions, it's a fiscal package. It will be approved very, very fast for you. And also, Ivan can tell you later, the project we have 3 million pesos for small businesses, projects, many of them technological and app businesses. We can get a fund from 2 to 5 million pesos for you to start your project.
Okay, 5 minutes. We're running out of time. Sir.
It's related to that kind of question. There's a lot of audience here that are related in tech, but There's incentives in Nuevo León, there's incentives in Texas, but like there's still no connection among two countries. I'm from Monterrey, and I decided to come here. I'm a software development company establishing, but we need in order that link in order to make our lives easier. Is there anything planned around that, please?
Yes. We just told you that we would like to make a regional treaty, obviously involving taxing, exports, commerce, and as soon as we can publish it for you to take
All right.
take advantage of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Governor. Felicidades por el primer año de Mariel. Primero que nada. I'm Juan Pablo. I'm the founder of Cívica Digital. We're the leading GovTech startup in Mexico, and we're based in Monterrey. My question is, what are your thoughts on working with startups, not just supporting them, because we appreciate the support, but startups were also ready to collaborate with governments to help innovate faster and deliver better public services to citizens and companies and investors that want to come in.
Please give us your curriculum, because we really want to be converted to an e-government facility. Everything has to be digital. Everything has to be very easy. With a click, you must get permits, pays, and everything involving government soon will be electric. So if you work in that matter, please let us know to get a meeting soon.
Awesome.
Great question.
And thanks for Mariel.
Hello, this is Javier from 8 Media Monterrey. My question is, with elections coming up, is there any preview how it will impact in the business in the state?
Well, I hope that politics do not intervene in the economic sector, and I really appreciate this space. I have 1 minute left to thank your trust in Nuevo León. Nuevo León is getting big thanks to your money, your investments, your trust. And in anything we can help you, any project, any permit, we make, like, to Elon Musk, an helicopter round trip. What you need in Nuevo León, you will have the local government very supportive. We have a special task force team here with Emmanuel. Where are you, Emmanuel? This guy is the foreign investment subsecretary, and we will really appreciate to see you very soon in Nuevo León and invest in the best place of Mexico.
Governor Garcia, it's been an absolute pleasure and privilege to have this fireside chat with you. It was fun to go around the expo with you. The guy's a rock star. I think my ego's a little bit higher after that experience. You're always welcome in Texas, and we look forward to many more meetings between the great states of Nuevo León and Texas. Thank you, Governor Garcia.
Thank you. Thank you very much.